Hi guys, welcome to another audio video, and I'll be reading Exodus 14 of the King James Version Bible. And it reads, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they turn and encamp before Pihahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-zephon, before it shall be encamped by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are entangled in the land, the wilderness hath shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host. And the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people. And they said, Now have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us. And he made ready his chariot, and took his people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots, and all the chariots of Egypt, and captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel, and the children of Israel went out with an high hand. But the Egyptians pursued after them all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea, beside Pihahiroth, before Baal-zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. And they were sore afraid, and the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will shew to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face, and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and it was a cloud and darkness to them. But it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them in the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drove them heavily. So that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the water may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it. And the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea, and the water returned, and covered the chariots, and the horsemen, and all the hosts of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right and on their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the land of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. So here in this chapter, we see where, let me try to put my thoughts together properly. Alright, so here we see where God was actually proving himself to the children of Israel. Because if you note, he had said earlier that he did not allow them to go by the way of the Philistines, because if they went there because there was war in Philistine, the children of Israel would actually say that it would have been best for them to have remained in Egypt. And so God knew their hearts. God read their hearts. And God knew that they still doubted him. And he cannot have his children, his servants, doubting him. So he had to prove himself to them. And so he hardened Pharaoh's heart and allowed Pharaoh to come upon the children of Israel. But they weren't able to touch them. And they weren't able to do anything to them. He brought them there so that he could prove himself to the children of Israel. And people of God, non-Christians, God will bring you to a place and bring your enemies to a place where he will actually prove himself to you. But don't you try the Lord in that way. Don't you actually try the Lord. Do not question God. He will prove himself to you if he feels the need to. And so you ought to let him prove himself to you. The trials that you're going through at this point in time, they're not just mere trials. They're not there to break you. They're there to make you stronger and to strengthen your faith in God. And with that, guys, I'm going to leave you here. And I'm going to ask that you leave your comments in the comments section down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification so you know whenever a new video is posted. And guys, I'm looking forward to hearing from you, hearing your revelations, hearing your thoughts on the chapters that have been read. And even forming a forum so we can actually discuss all these things, to discuss the wonderful works of God, to discuss everything that I've actually read and that you will actually read and meditate upon, so that we can grow deeper and we can delve deeper in the words of God and actually gain a true understanding of our mighty God. Hallelujah. Alright guys, with these I leave you. See you in the next audio video.